guys, um, I'm hoping everyone can hear me right now. So we are continuing to go through a Zoom learning curve here. I don't know if any of you have heard on the news, but Zoom has been having tons of problems. We bought a new format for it yesterday that allows us to control the screen of who the panelists are and talking. So she's trying to get Scott and Missy and Carrie back on the screen right now. So we'll try to get that done. But I want to apologize about yesterday. We've got a number of us that are hosts, and some of I guess all of them except one account can host 100, and then the one account that we're on today that Gina's controlling can have 500 of you on there. So hopefully we'll get everybody on there today, but I know that there's a whole big group of you yesterday that was trying to get on for the meeting that Scott and I had that were locked out because we were at our max of 100. So Scott will, once we get him back on here, Scott will kind of run through again the SBA, the PPP, and unemployment and things that you can and cannot do to help you be able to make sure that you're getting that forgivable loan from the federal government. So we'll work on that. So again, first of all, apologize on all the stuff on the mute thing. The reason we did send out an email again yesterday, I think it was around 5:30, Gina sent out an email on the Zoom calls, was that with what's happening here is we're having things called, and we'll let Maggie or Gina explain this once they get on here, but waiting rooms and passwords and so forth, because there has been a lot of people, if you're on other Zoom calls, please be aware of this. On the Zoom calls, you're having a lot of hacking going on where people are getting on there and then they're putting in the chat room links and clicks and stuff like that to click onto. Please do not do that in your other calls. We're hopefully by the time we're going to be done here by the end of the day, going through this learning curve, we'll have a system set up to protect you guys, to make sure that people have got to be invited in. They'll have to have a password, and we'll be able to control and monitor who gets in and out of these Zoom calls under this new platform that we have. So that's beneficial, and hopefully we'll get through this and we won't have any more of these mistakes. So Gina, I'm gonna have you pop on here in a minute, I guess, as soon as you can get Carrie, Scott, and Missy on this call, or at least give us an update and just talk through the computer because I don't have my phone on me now. So a number of things. Let me give you an update on a couple things. First of all, in regards to the office and what we're doing, we're continuing to do pretty much this week what we did last week. We're asking agents, pretty much come in, pick up mail, drop off checks. If you're in there and you're in an office, go and shut your door. We really don't want more than one person in a room. We want to continue to keep people as far apart as humanly possible. Carrie Miller, when she gets on, is going to give us an update on the staff that's going in there. We have, really about 4 or 5 people sitting in there. Carrie's going to talk about who's in there, who's doing what on a daily basis, and we're trying to keep them all separated for their safety and for our safety as we move forward. But really, we're at this point in time, we're continuing to tell you, please do not bring clients to the office. We are wiping down the offices, 2, 3, 4 times a day. But with the little staff that we have there, we don't have the ability to run in and out every hour to wipe down conference rooms and handles and stuff like that. Some of the staff we have there, they're coming in with gloves on, with masks on, just going to their space, shutting their door. So we're asking if you're at Steph's office or Christy's office or the admin office and their doors closed, they're doing it because they're trying to keep things distanced. They're not sitting there to want to chit chat and stuff like that. So let's please be respectful of them as they're there working as we do this stuff. My phone's blowing up, so I'm getting text message after text message. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but I'm assuming Gene is trying to get the other ones on, so I apologize. So that's kind of where we're there. A market update. I've got to tell you, I have been beyond shocked. Can you show me, Shannon, how to get the participants here? Okay, Shannon is my backup help, which is not a lot of help. Okay, I see we do have 182 and climbing on this, so hopefully we're heading in the right direction.
What you wanted to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Carrie, you're on now, so I'm going to have you talk next after we get this thing going. In regards to the market, I got to tell you, I am just shocked. The number of new listings in the month of March was greater than the number of new listings last March. I understand we had the flood last March. A number of new pendings was about 200 more. We did about, don't hold me to this number, but I'm within 5 or 6. I think it was 1,253 new pendings this year versus last year, about 1,050. So about 200 more new pendings. So if you would have asked me 3 weeks ago, if we would have had more pendings in the month of March, even knowing that we had the floods last year versus this year, I would have said there's no chance that this would have slowed down substantially more. Jordy's been tracking for us the last 3 weeks, week over week, number of new listings, and we've been increasing our listings each one of the 3 weeks. We actually had more new listings in the last 7 days than we did the previous 7-day periods of the 2 weeks prior to that. So much to my surprise, quite honestly, people are still out there wanting to list houses, wanting to purchase houses. I believe that the low interest rates, we don't have today's rates. Levi, maybe you can send a text message to me, but yesterday's rates I think were 3.25 on a 30-year mortgage, and I think a 15 was 3%. So interest rates and the buying power that I think buyers have today in the marketplace. And Gina, we've got everybody. I got Missy, Scott, and Carrie, and you all up on the screen right now. So I think that's all of the people that we need on the screen. So that's good news. But interest rates, I think, are continue to drive things. It will be very interesting to me as we continue to have more social distancing to see how sales continue through the month of April here relative to what we've done in the past. But when you look at the market year to date, we're clearly ahead of where we were. Shannon's handing me notes. Clearly ahead of where we were last year. And this month is starting out really good. We had 93, I think, Carrie, nod your head if that's correct, 93 new pending transactions from over the weekend that we processed yesterday. Is that right? So activity continues to be incredibly strong throughout this process. So keep working as you can, but be smart about the process. We're going to continue to strongly encourage you and recommend that you do not do open houses. We don't think that's real responsible. We'd rather you take an approach of put notes out there on social media on the properties, even if it's models, show by appointment only for open houses for new construction, stuff like that. And that seemed to work really well for many of you that are doing new construction and have models out there. And the other thing is we have got some negative feedback, and we've even got some press on some door knocking. So please don't do door knocking. This is a time where you probably need to, and don't even be putting things indoors, just opening handles. People are a little freaked out by that. And so we want to make sure that in the public's eye, we're being perceived as a partner, as someone that is socially responsible in the marketplace with them. So we would ask you not to please do that. One other thing before I let Carrie kind of get into the admin and what the admin's doing, and then Scott dives into the PPP is Sunshine Kids. It took substantially longer than we thought, but I need to give a big special thanks to many people. Shona for getting this house for us in the beginning, Fred for continually spearhead this thing, all the time, energy, and effort, and he even donated thousands of dollars of his own money in this process to the house. Julie and Rusty were there, and we had group texts going pretty much daily for the last 2 months. But finally, last Friday, we closed the Sunshine Kids house. We'll have an exact number. Carrie, I know the commission is all being, I need to get that from you guys to get that to them, but the number is going to be over $50,000 that we are going to raise for the Sunshine Kids. And that's really, really, really more important than most years of what's happening, because in conjunction with that, we've had a Sunshine Kids meeting, and I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, so if I did, I apologize for repeating myself, but the Sunshine Kids event that we were going to hold, our one that we do every 2 years, this September, we have decided that we think it makes sense to cancel that, and we're going to push that back to next year in light of what's going on with people economically, the fears and anxiety they have about this coronavirus. We did not think it made sense or we were in a position at all, because this is really the heart of our fundraising season right now is March, April, and May to raise money for the event in September. But to go out and try to ask to raise money for the Sunshine Kids at this point in time did not make a lot of sense to us. The one thing that we are going to continue to do is that we are going to, Josh is going to, it took over for Todd this year, the golf event. He's pushed that back from June to September. I don't have the exact date on that. I want to say it's September. Yeah, I do have the exact date. It's September 9th. So let's touch base with Josh if you would like to get involved with that. And we're going to do a big push to help him raise more money than normal when we do the Sunshine Kids golf event in September. So that's kind of an update on where we're at with Sunshine Kids. I did get a call from one of the board of directors of the Sunshine Kids yesterday, and I'm going to be talking to their staff down in Houston today. G.W. Bailey is no longer part of the Sunshine Kids. I didn't get a lot of details other than a call to me saying that they were parting ways. So I don't know if I'll get details on that or not, but GW has been a great friend of ours, a great friend of the Sunshine Kids for many, many years. So I was sad to hear that regardless of what the circumstances was. So We will continue to update you on what we're doing with the Sunshine Kids, but the big hurrah is $50,000 plus on the Sunshine Kids house. We will continue to have the Sunshine Kids golf tournament. So we're hopeful that we can raise $100,000 for the Sunshine Kids this year. Part of the conversation I did have yesterday with Jerry Short, who was on the board of directors of the Sunshine Kids, is that, you know, the good news out of all this, if there's good news, is that they're doing substantially less trips this year because of what's going on with the coronavirus. Many trips that they had planned, they can't do right now. So their need for money, fortunately, is not as great under these circumstances as it would normally be, kind of going hand in hand with us not being able to raise money with them also. So that's an update on Sunshine Kids. Again, guys, please, 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 when you are showing houses, we've sent out a number of graphs of wear gloves, booties, sanitizers, you know, even masks at this point in time. Be smart about what you're doing. But the amount of business that's continuing to take place out there is overwhelming. I am going to ask Scott also. I had made some calls based on a number of you calling me last week saying that I have a lot of sellers. I'm going to let Scott talk about an MLS change here in a minute. But a number of you have said, I've got sellers that would like to still list their property, but they don't want people to physically come through the property. Hold on one second. Can you ask her to leave? Sorry, I got kids, dogs, and everything else running around the house. So based on that, I put a call into the MLS last week, talked to a couple people, and we did get a real change passed, talking about allowing us to do no showing status without people physically showing the property, but going ahead and marketing that as we would before. So there was some restrictions on that, so we had to get some real changes on that. So I'll let Scott touch base about that a little bit more. And Melissa's also going to touch base about, as we continue to go through this world and we're doing Zoom stuff here, we're creating new content and new classes that we didn't think we'd probably be creating before. But Melissa, and I think Sarah's helped a little bit, and Daryl is creating some content. They're going to talk about this week about doing virtual listing presentations. In our mastermind groups, we've had a large number of you talking about getting listings and you've not physically been in the property. So we want to talk about best practices and things and ideas that we can give to help you there. Melissa will talk a little bit about that. And we're going to also, I think, create some content next week talking about virtual tours and video and Matterports and stuff like that. That goes kind of hand in hand with this no-show status of how do we get these properties to show the best they can. So our world's changing. We're creating content and doing things that we never thought we would be doing. If you would have asked us all 2 months ago if we'd be doing Zoom calls, you know, with 200, 300 plus people. I think we had 374 people on the call last week, and we're over 200 people on the call this week. You know, I don't think that many of us would think this would be the way we're communicating and talking to each other, but it's a new world. I think April's going to be an interesting month. I can tell you, we are not planning any face-to-face meetings on mastermind groups or training classes through the month of April. All of the training will continue to move forward, but it will all be done through this platform on Zoom as we continue to make sure that we take safeguards to make sure we don't have people in there hacking and so forth. So Carrie, why don't you run next real quick and give an update on who's in the office, what they're doing, and as we kind of move forward, because next week we are going to bring a couple more people back into the office, but the people in the office, I'm going to tell you guys, are crazy, overwhelmed, and busy because the mail is not stopping. The packages that you guys are sending to the office are not stopping. So there's a lot of things going on there, and obviously with the number of sales we've had, there's a lot of commission checks that we're trying to get out and so forth. So Carrie, if you could walk through the admin, what they're doing, expectations on time frames for commission checks. Do the way.
You got it all taken care of. No, we're just, I think everybody's happy to be busy working from home and people that are in the office working. I just want to give a big shout out to our entire team. Everybody's working hard and working as a team, but really, Akila and Allison have stepped up in a big way this last week, having everybody working from home, and we had month end to get through. And I think Brittany sent me a report of, it was like 136 closings over the course of 2 days that we had to rush and get to everything that was backlogged from the end of the month. So huge shout out to the whole team, but those two in particular, Allison and Akila, we love you. Thanks for everything you do. So I think the goal is just to try to keep everybody in the office as safe as possible so that we can keep working and keep getting things done. We'll try not to have any more than 4 people 3 to 4 people in the admin office at any time. So we're going to try to come up with a rotation where we can get kind of 1 week on, 1 week off for people that have similar job duties. And oh, on a note on the hand sanitizer, we expect that to come in this week. I'm still waiting for an update from the distributor to give us a tracking number. It's supposed to be here before April 10th, so that's good. And then as soon as we have that, we'll come up with a plan for everybody to safely be able to come pick up your sanitizer. But yeah, the idea is just that I think starting next Monday, we'll have Janet and Suzanne back in the office. And I think Connie's going to go back tomorrow. Need to talk to Connie about that. But then I think, yeah, we'll have some people from the accounting office, like switching on and off, and people that are working on commissions, and just trying to keep everything moving, but not so many people in the office.
Commission checks, Carrie, they're getting out. I mean, we're still getting a little slow in getting commission checks from other brokerages, and that they're having these same struggles of getting things out on a timely basis.
Yeah,
we don't have carriers.
We're not seeing a lot of couriers dropping off commission checks. A lot is coming through the mail. So the mail is really heavy every day. And when we're used to getting a commission package dropped off from a title company the same day as closing and it's going through the mail, that's taking an extra 3-4 days than we're used to. So by the time we have the check in our hands, it's, you know, been 3 or 4 days since closing usually.
Carrie, I think we've had a big uptick just in the last week since we had our meeting last week, and people that were doing direct deposit. So again, we're going to encourage those of you not on direct deposit, please get direct deposit. It simplifies our life a little bit and speeds up the process of things that we're doing here right now. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah, I think that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Scott, I'm gonna let you go next. And Scott, remember, we're gonna have to do a pretty thorough summary because it sounds like we had a whole lot of people, unfortunately, trying to get on that call yesterday, and we were locked out at 100 people. So I know that I've got 15, 20 people saying they were trying to get on that call that didn't. So if you could run through that, and then when you're done with all that, you know, afterwards, we got off the call, there was a lot of confusion about people that had teams or employees, and those people filing for unemployment and what that would do to their PPP and SBA loan and stuff like that. So maybe even expand upon that more than we did yesterday based on some of those questions we got after we got off the phone, if you could, please. Shoot away, Scott.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just start with, before we get into that, I'll just start with the new rule that you had talked about, just so everyone's caught up on that. One of the things that we were going back and forth with, which is having a lot of sellers going, hey, I don't want people in my house right now. And the question was, did the rules allow for it to be active without having it be open to show? And of course, the rule was basically, no, you had to let people in the house. So then the seller's up with the option of, okay, now I have to go no show, so I'm not active on the market, which is exactly what I want. So as Vince said, he was able to move forward getting a rule change it's a temporary rule change, just specifically for COVID, of course. But the rule is basically saying, yes, you can keep your listing active on the market. You have to put in agent remarks and public remarks this: no physical access, virtual showings only. And then you have to immediately follow that either by a direct URL link to an unbranded virtual tour showing. That's good, that's unbranded. Branding it made it difficult, and you had to have a certain process to do that. Or B, the statement, the only available photos are included, no virtual tour available. And so it'll still go to Zillow this way, Realtor.com, our website, all the other websites, HomeSnap, but you have the ability now to not have to physically show the house and do it through virtual showings. So that's the temporary rule change now. The other thing that the board passed is that they finally got around to putting their own form together for COVID extensions of closing dates. I've got to look at it again. It seemed like it was getting very, very long, and they were trying to cover every single thing that could possibly happen, which made the form basically hard to understand, in my opinion. I think the one that I put out is pretty simple, gives that quick 15-day extension, then you can extend it for another 15 days, you still haven't resolved it. And then of course, at any time, you guys can of course just do an addendum to extend it further, to keep things moving, if we're shut down, which right now it doesn't look like that's going to happen in Nebraska at the very least.
Yeah, Scott, let me talk about that. I can tell you a couple firsthand experiences. I do know that Carrie Clare and I have chatted, and I believe because closings have been, I think, declared at a federal level as an essential closing. They sent her, I believe, and maybe Gina Carey can get on here real quick, but they sent her some things basically for people to have in the cars, saying that if there ever was a shutdown, that they would be essential people and they would be able to come and continue to get to the office. We are continuing to do the closings in the garage. Those of you popping into your office for a short period of time or going in and out that do have garage spaces, forget the assignment of garage spaces. There's plenty of empty spaces down there. Park in a space, go in, do what you need to do, and leave. So I had some of you last week saying, hey, I was popping in the office for 20 minutes. I went down the garage and my space was taken because of some closings we're doing for titles. So please, just those in the garage, go down, pop in the garage. I also, in conjunction to what Scott was talking about, this rule change, did talk to Greg Lemon last week, and Greg totally agreed that, there'd be no reason from a real estate commission standpoint that we couldn't have these things in no-show status, physical status, if that was the seller's wishes, because that would trump any other rule that would take place. And so getting the board on board with that, or MLS on board if that was good. And then he was also, because we've had a number of people who had some pocket listings talk to me last week again in this world saying, I got a pocket listing. Someone from Dodge found out about it. They want to write an offer. Do I now need to put that in MLS? And at this time, I've told you, if it's getting sold and that one person's writing it, don't put it in MLS if that's what the seller doesn't want you to do. Greg's initial reaction is he tended to agree that there's no reason, if someone else comes in, found out about it and wrote an offer, that you'd be forced to put that into MLS. So he was pondering that. So we're supposed to have another call sometime this week to reconnect on that subject matter. So Scott, back to you. Going to the fun part of SBA, PPP, and unemployment and how all those things done. And I do want Scott to talk a little bit about, I'm getting daily numerous responses from you guys where you're filing for unemployment and saying that we're your employer and we're not. So you're independent contractor. So I'm gonna let Scott run through all three of those buckets, SBA, PPP, and then finish it with unemployment. Thank you, Scott.
Right. So, under the CARES Act that recently got passed, there's 4 buckets of money that's going out to people. One is the automatic stimulus payments that you have to qualify for based off your income. That's based off your tax return. Those are automatic. Then there are 3 other programs. There is one, the economic injury disaster loan. That's the one that you apply for directly on the SBA website. That provides a $10,000 grant that is forgivable, does not need to be repaid if you qualify for it. So you go on there and apply for that. The second one is the payment protection plan. And then the third one is what's called pandemic unemployment assistance. And that's going to be run through the state. So it's first and foremost, everything is kind of a nightmare right now because the SBA generally does about 70,000 loans per year and about $30 billion total. And that's a 365-day period. They do $30 billion. So they now have approval to do up to $350 billion in loans, which is, of course, 12 times what they normally do. Bank of America, in their first day, did $30 billion in loans. So the entire year, Bank of America filed applications for loans in that first day. So that's why things are screeching to a halt, and they're understaffed to try to deal with it. Then, of course, with the amount of money that's already been out there, their greatest concern is are we going to run out of this money? They've got $350 billion. First day, Bank of America did $30 billion. Wells Fargo did $10 billion. Wells Fargo is no longer doing any of these. They've already submitted the total amount they can. U.S. Bank is still waiting on some guidance. Chase, JP Morgan Chase, which is the world's largest bank, they're still waiting for guidance. They've started to do some applications, but it's just overwhelmed the system. And then they didn't do a really good job of putting out guidance for what these lenders should be looking for. So they're overwhelmed with applications. They don't have good guidance provided out to the local banks. And so we go from an economic injury disaster loan with that $10,000 grant to the new one, which is the payment protection plan. And that is what provides for 2.5 times your payroll. So I think the easiest way to look at it is if you can show gross income either to yourself or to your PC or your LLC that amounts to over $100,000 per year or $8,333 per month, the maximum amount that you're going to get under that payment protection plan should be about $20,833. This loan has to be done through a local SBA lender. Now, again, they don't have good guidance. And so these local banks who have to apply for these don't quite know what to be asking for. There was some words in the act that said, we're going to base your income on a rolling 12. Okay. So the lender goes, but we don't have any tax statements that can show us what happened the last 4 months at this point to actually verify. So they're going, we can't do that. It just doesn't make sense. Let's look at your 2019 1099 income if you're a self-employed person. And so that's what they're asking for. They're asking for details like that. A lot of people have written to me and go, hey, Scott, what are they asking for? What's my inventory? You don't have inventory. You're not a small sales selling Kirby vacuums. So you're not in the same spot. So you wouldn't have inventory to disclose. You're selling basically, those are tangibles, right? I sell vacuums. You sell intangibles, which is your real estate knowledge and skill. And so you're going to put in there, you know, the maximum amount that you can get. You're going to look to try to gross up to that max value, which is that $100,000 per year to get a loan of 2.5. And so if you don't have any employees, it's just you. Even if you have a 1099 assistant, you're not going to file anything that includes that 1099 assistant. You're only going to apply for yourself. It's different if you have employees. If you have employees, then you can put all of their income into that loan too to make up your 2.5 times payroll matrix to come up with your loan amount. So you could exceed the 20,833 if you had 5 employees, because you could put in your number, you could put in, if your husband and partner's number in there, and then 3 employees that you might have. You're going to seek to maximize the value of that loan. And so that's easy, or not easy, but you got to do the math to get to that number. And then on top of that, when you're looking at it, there's a lot of questions about, well, it says that I can do 25% for loan forgiveness, or not loan forgiveness, loan interest, for rent, things like that. What they're basically saying is that from that gross loan that you're going to be approved for, you can basically kick 25% to rent, 25% to this, because what they really want you to do is continue hiring and paying for your employees, so they don't have to go make unemployment claims. They don't have to stop working. And it says that you can get full forgiveness. Now I'm talking about if you have employees here. If you have employees and you're making the claim, you can reduce their hours up to 25%, but still have the full loan forgiven. And so those are things you got to think about if you have employees. And so that's that matrix. And right now, if you have employees, you could file for that SBA loan last Friday. If you don't have employees and you're self-employed and you're making a claim only for yourself, April 10th is that deadline. Question is should I be talking to a lender now, or should I wait for the 10th? Talk to a lender right now. Talk to your lender as quickly as possible, because you want to be able to get all of that stuff in there, because it's not your obligation to get the paperwork to the lender on the 10th. It's the lender's obligation to get the paperwork in to the SBA on the 10th. So you want to be ready to go. Get everything that you have, put it together, and send it off. Work with your lender. And it makes a ton of sense if you've got a local lender, you're working with Security National Bank, Core Bank, Great Western, whoever, it's a lot easier to work with your own bank on this, because they have a lot of your own information. And frankly, they're going to take priority to their own customer before someone else. The law says that it doesn't say that they shouldn't, but they have the right to basically write these loans how they want and get them approved. And, again, they're going to show preference for their own customers. So the quicker you can get it in, the better off you are.
And Scott, I will tell you again, yeah, Scott's exactly right. If you've got the problem you've got is a lot of people are saying, well, Wells is my bank and Wells is maxed out. In that case, I think you need to go open up another checking account or business account, maybe at another bank that's a smaller bank, and get it there. Those who applied that have employees last week, I've already heard from a handful of my friends that have already got notices back that their loan has been approved for the requested amount they put in there. So it does seem, as much confusion as there, it does appear like the government is moving fairly quickly to get these things approved on a timely basis. And those responses I heard back were from smaller banks, not the big banks. So
yeah, the local lenders are actually doing a better job of it, because they're not overwhelmed. They don't have 30,000 customers all applying for this.
I think they are overwhelmed, but
well, yeah, they're overwhelmed in the sense of the
paperwork.
They're better at processing it. Let's say that.
Yes. Go ahead, Scott.
Because they don't have 28 different levels of vice presidents to talk to before they can get something approved. They're just more nimble at it than anyone else. All right, and then the final bucket is this pandemic unemployment assistance. There is not a lot of guidance on this, but this is a benefit that they wrote into this CARE Act to allow for people, self-employed people, to get what they call unemployment benefits, which would be the first time they've ever done that at a nationwide level. They have done things before where they've had Hurricane Katrina was an example. They provided a benefit to people who normally wouldn't be qualified for unemployment. They provided those benefits. They run all unemployment benefits through the state. So the federal funds are coming into the state for the state to distribute, as opposed to an SBA loan where it's coming from the federal SBA into your pocket directly. So this is the one area where we're having both state issues and we're having federal issues to try to make this program go together. The same problem here, which is the states have not received good guidance yet from the U.S. Treasury Department on how best to get these payments up and running. Also, what are the qualifications for getting into it aren't very clear yet. New York State has done a really nice flow chart where they say, hey, if this, you qualify. If not, you don't qualify. That's based off of how New York is interpreting the law. It might change by the time this program's up and running. We haven't even seen anything from, so John Albin is the commissioner for the Department of Labor in the state of Nebraska. He has said that he's still waiting for guidance, but he's encouraging people who think that they might qualify for these payments, they're self-employed, to go ahead and apply for unemployment benefits straight, basically the standard unemployment benefit, because you're going to get turned down. So if you're going to get turned down by it, that's kind of the first step. And anyone who's self-employed will be turned down because you have to be a W-2 employee to really qualify for unemployment coverage in the state of Nebraska, which is why there's a benefit to this program, because it's allowing those people to qualify for the first time over. And so his advice was go ahead and apply. Now, if you go through this form, it's very confusing because it's set up for people who are W-2 employees, which you're not. And so it's asking for questions like, who's your employer? Well, you're probably thinking my employer is Berkshire Hathaway, but it's not. You're not an employee, not a W-2 employee of Berkshire Hathaway. You are you're an independent contractor, a 1099. So there actually is a number that you should use, and that number it's NAICS number 531210. 531210. I'll put it up in the comments here. But that's what you're supposed to fill in, because if you put it in as Berkshire Hathaway, it comes to us, and then we have to send it back and go, nope, this person is an employee, and you're going to get denied, but probably not denied in the right way. You need to be denied as a self-employed person. So you're doubling up on your work if you fill it out incorrectly. So you want to make sure that you do it the right way, which is as a self-employed person. So when's this going to happen? Right now, our understanding is that the benefit will be $600 for 13 weeks unless it's expanded or goes on. Will you qualify? I don't know yet. Again, it's going to be based off of what categories that they put out there. One of the things was really easy, which was one of the original guidance says, well, if you're self-employed, you qualify for it. And then they said, well, if you're self-employed and then impacted by COVID, then you'll qualify. Then it was, if you're self-employed, impacted by COVID, and impacted in these certain ways, which is you can't go to your business, or you can't do this, then you can qualify for it. Then they backed off again and they said, well, maybe it's just if you're self-employed. We're going to have to wait for basically John Albin to go, these are the people who are going to qualify for it as self-employed. And we'll see that whenever we get their final application. I looked at the Nebraska Workforce's website yesterday. It's updated where it discusses this program, but it doesn't look like it has an actual application for it yet. And of course, Albin has maintained they have to be denied first before they can even do it. My understanding, I talked to Christy Purse yesterday. She had already already applied for unemployment because she was working part-time at a place that basically laid her off because she was because of COVID, and she had applied for unemployment at their request. They said go ahead and apply for it. She contacted them and they said yes, that you don't even need to update it. So hopefully that'll be what will happen, is they'll just look at these things and go, all right, they applied in this bucket, but they don't need to worry about it. They need to be over here for this pandemic unemployment assistance. Going back, one of the questions that we were asked, Vince was saying, people are questioning, hey, if we've got employees, I think I kind of covered it, which is you can, to get forgiveness of the total amount, if you get your payment protection plan loan and it's for $50,000, and the question is if I lay off an employee, does that impact my forgiveness? It does. So you will have a pro rata reduction in the amount forgiven by any employees that you lay off. It'll calculate it based off of, you made this claim for this person, therefore that amount is no longer forgiven, and you're going to end up having to pay that loan. And it's, I think, 4% over a certain period of time. So it's a low interest rate, but why do it if you don't have to? Because the whole point of the loan is just to try to keeping your employees employed and working for you. Again, there is that you can reduce hours for salary up to 25% and still get full forgiveness. So you just got to make sure that you're within those parameters. And you'll see that whenever you get, approved for this loan, and then you have to basically go back to your local SBA lender and show them that I kept these people employed, or I only reduced it by this amount, and then they can submit for that forgiveness within the set prescribed period of time. And so you got to be careful with that stuff to make sure that you can maximize the benefit of the forgiveness.
Summary, we don't really know how unemployment is. We don't really know how the unemployment thing's going to shake out, but because the other ones are being rolled out in advance, you and I had a conversation after our meeting yesterday, Scott, that you probably could go back and cancel unemployment if for some reason that was going to cancel out your PPP or something like that.
Right. Anything that you apply for, you don't have to take. You can stop it at some point wherever you're in the application process. And that was the other question that people have is, man, it seems like if I could get a PPP and this unemployment, that's really double dipping. It does sound exactly like double dipping. There's an accounting firm that actually did a nationwide accounting firm that actually looked at this and said, hey, if you were able to get the full benefit from all this, it'd be like a free $60,000 or something like that. But right now, there's not been any directive that said, hey, if you apply for PPP, you don't qualify for the unemployment. They're looking at it as different buckets right now. Now, one of the things that you do see the interplay is the economic injury disaster loan and the payment protection plan. So if you get that $10,000 grant and then you get a subsequent payment protection plan loan, that $10,000 would come off the top of the grant of that payment protection plan. So there is interplay between those two. But so far, nothing on this pandemic unemployment assistance. But again, I think you're going to have to certify in some way how you've actually been impacted by COVID to get that unemployment disaster unemployment payment.
Yeah, to me, it's going to be tough to get the unemployment disaster when they consider us an essential business to say we can still show houses at this point, especially in Nebraska when they've not put any restrictions on. Because I'm tight on time. I know Heather and I've got a mastermind group that starts at 10 o'clock. Missy, I'm going to start letting you go next here. And so, by the way, Heather and I, Sarah and I will continue to be doing these mastermind group meetings. I believe we have, Heather, if I'm not mistaken, 2 yet today that we'll be doing. They've been going very, very well. We are planning these, and some people are saying on a couple of masterminds, can we get into them every 2 weeks? And the answer is no, we don't have enough time right now to do them every 2 weeks, but we are pushing them up every 3 to 4 weeks versus every 4 to 5 weeks. So we do see the value in those. We found that they've been great ways for everyone to communicate what they're doing and how they're doing things differently. So we will continue to hit these mastermind groups through these Zoom meetings. But I'm gonna let Missy pop in right now on the training, kind of what's on the training schedule. Missy, if you could talk about that over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then really, AdWorks, which I know is going on this week, and some of the new content that you're putting together, so everyone knows moving forward what we have. And the great news is, I think we've had more people tuning into these Zoom calls from a training perspective than we had physically showing up when we had this. So those people, I've received a lot of emails and texts from those that are not close to the Village Point office where we have these, saying, we love this because it allows us to be involved and get some of this training and coaching in that we would otherwise not be getting. So great job there, Missy. Shoot away at what we have going on.
Yeah, thanks, Vince. I do feel like we've had just a great turnout in terms of teaching online. And so thank you all for your patience in just me trying to take all of the classes that I've typically hosted in person to more of a virtual format. So this week we have AdWorks tomorrow from 10 to 11, Thursday from 1 to 2, and then also Friday 10 to 11. All of the links for those sessions are on the BHHS calendar, and you can find that if you log into your BHHS site under Agent Tools. I did want to point out for AdWorks, they are giving away 3 months per session of free AdWorks ads or Facebook ads. So definitely take time out of your day to hop on one of those sessions. They are going to be sharing some new features as well. So I think those will be beneficial to all of us. On the 15th, next Wednesday, we've asked Prosperity to do a 1-hour session from 3 to 4 p.m. And it's basically going to cover, it's just going to be an update on the status of the mortgage industry. So it'll be a 1-hour interactive session, more of a Q&A style, where they'll share everything that's going on within the mortgage industry so that you can be up to speed in terms of sharing that with your clients. And then I also wanted to point out, we do have some new sessions that I'm covering over the next few weeks. So top 10 do's and don'ts on video, classes on Instagram for business. So we did get that one approved by the commission, and I'll start teaching that at the end of this month. And then also I'm doing a 2-part series starting Friday the 17th, and it's about building your story brand for business. So we'll go over a story brand framework, and then essentially that second session is designed to help you really bring your business to life through marketing. That's it for me.
Can you walk AdWorks? Any updates on AdWorks? Are they running any discounts? What are they doing differently?
So they're not running any discounts to my knowledge, other than giving away each session. They'll give away 3 months of AdWorks ads for free, but they are rolling out some new features that they're going to talk about in their sessions. And then they're also going to talk about just how you can, really be relevant right now with social media due to the current state of the economy. So they're definitely bringing some new content.
Good. Scott, was there any questions on there? I see we've got 24 questions down here. Was there any questions on there that you needed to circle back and answer in regards to the PPP or the unemployment? Or are they just things, Scott, maybe if you could at least talk.
I'm here.
I've lost your voice. But is there any questions? Or if not, maybe we can look at some of these questions and put a summary out to everybody in our response to kind of the sales meeting, and just continue to get that back out to everybody.
Yep, I'm putting answers on the chat on the side too to direct questions, and I'm getting emailed on them too. So
we'll get a summary sheet out to you guys. We expect this thing to change again, unfortunately, but I think the biggest point for Scott, I would take away if I was you guys and everyone I've talked to from a banker and other people, is don't wait till the 10th to get this in. Get this in now. I will tell you, Shannon, I think, has had it sent back to you 4 times from the bank saying, "Oh no, now I need this," and don't be surprised, because if you have one agent telling you my bank required a 1099 and a profit and loss and this, the next bank could require more or less. There does not seem to be an exact consistency. Different banks do seem to have the ability, Scott, I think this is correct, to put some different requirements on what they're requesting for information to get from you.
Right, and I think
this.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is that they don't have good guidance, so they're worried what happens if they come back and audit me and they say, hey, did you have the right information when you wrote this loan? And so they're going, well, shit, I better get everything I possibly can to cover my ass on this thing and have a good file. And so certain lenders are more relaxed about it than other ones. They're getting paid basically a 5% origination fee on all of this stuff, so it's worth it for them. And so that's kind of why it's all over the place as to what they need or want, because they're just not clear.
So guys, we wanted this to be a fast meeting. I appreciate the updates from everyone. Tech also, Maggie's not on here right now, but tech support has been crazy busy with more of us working at home, both employees and agents. I know that basically, Maggie, why don't you jump on and just talk real quick? I see you're saying I'm here. You want to just kind of get a rundown on tech and marketing and what we're doing there real quick?
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. So just really quick on the IT side, first of all, there was a giant phishing email that went out minutes before this meeting started, and it said it's going to deactivate all of your email accounts. That is, we aren't going to activate those, but several did click on that. So if you did click on that, please tell us so that we can run some malware scans on your computer, make sure everything's okay. And then just kind of keep in mind, because we did have people click on it, we're probably going to get more over the next couple of weeks. So from that perspective, to help, we can remote into your computer for really anything. We're pretty much 100% functional, even even not being in the office. And then if for some reason there's something that we need you to do, or you need help with something that we can't do remotely, we will set an appointment, meet you at the office. Marketing is also keeping pretty busy. A lot of you are taking this time to update your listing or your buyer's books or buyer's presentations. We can help with that. We loaded a couple of base presentations into the resources on BHHS A and B yesterday, just to give people ideas. We can customize those for you. So just reach out. We're here to help.
Maggie, could you maybe talk a little bit about some of the changes in Zoom? I know you, Scott, and I had a call yesterday about what our liability is on this. What do we need to do to protect ourselves? I know Berkshire Hathaway Energies came down with some guidance, and that's what created today, us having a password to get in here. And I keep reading about waiting rooms and stuff like that. Maybe a quick summary of what we'll be doing as we continue to move forward on this, and those
Sure.
and other Zoom chat rooms, things that they maybe should be aware of to keep them safe.
Sure. So, really, obviously, Zoom has grown in popularity. It's probably one of the easiest video conferencing platforms to use. But with that, they are seeing a huge increase in what they're calling Zoom bombs. So just be very aware, maybe not so much. We're watching it previously on these meetings, but, if you're doing things out there, links in the chat, don't click on those. Part of that is they can actually take over the video. So if, like right now, how we have this set up so that we can only see certain people's videos, that's not how every Zoom meeting is set up. And so that's a security thing that was put into place to prevent somebody from taking over the screen. Passwords is another thing. We will probably have a password on most meetings. That just prevents somebody from typing in the URL and landing in a meeting. And then the other piece of this is the waiting room. So some of your meetings might have it where we actually let each person in individually. It's just another step in security. So, but if you're using Zoom, I know there's a lot of agents out there that are using Zoom for themselves or for your team. Just kind of keep in mind, you can put a password on these, you can enable waiting room, and those are a couple extra security steps to prevent what they're calling Zoom bombs.
And most people can get Zoom for free, right? And to link in and out of meetings?
Yep. So Zoom is free. You basically register for it. You're going to host less than 100 people, and it puts a limit of 40 minutes on the meeting. However, I think Zoom has kind of removed that limitation for now. So you might be able to get a free account for less than 100 people to use at a time, and you host it for longer. It's kind of, so if you get prompted at that minute mark, I have to root your meeting.
Guys, Maggie, thank you for that update. I greatly appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for getting all this set up. Guys, in summary, everyone that we're talking to that's reaching out to their database, not just their current clients, is getting great responses. They're happy to hear from us, and it really needs to be with an I care attitude. How are they doing through these times? Is there anything that we can do to help them? And real estate tends to come up in the vast majority of those conversations. They would like to know what is going on with the market. They'd like to know, is their house continue to be, will it continue to hold its value through this process? So guys, if there's one thing that I can encourage you to do, it's please get on the phone, make calls, continue to communicate and connect with your people, utilize video to reach out to them as we move forward, and then embrace some of these new things in regards to Matterport and virtual tours and videos and what we're going through this week in training with Missy is the virtual listing presentation. So first and foremost, be safe, continue to social distance, keep those in your families that have health issues that are older, please keep them safe. And you guys are all in our prayers and thoughts. A quick last update, Mike Blackman did go into the hospital. He was there over the weekend. He got out yesterday, I believe. So he's out, he's doing substantially better. And again, those of you that have came in contact with Mike or anybody that is tested positive, please self-quarantine for 2 weeks without symptoms. If you get symptoms, please, get a hold of your doctors. But guys, let's be safe. The scary statistic is most of the people that are getting coronavirus are getting it from people that are not showing symptoms. So we need to all be smart as we continue to do what we do out there and continue to be great servants and be of great knowledge and help our clients out there. But let's keep ourselves and our families safe in this process first and foremost. So take care. We're here, all of us, even though the managers are not in the office for the most part. We are, Brian actually asked, can I run into the office last night? I said, yes, you can run into the office last night. But let's continue to minimize the amount of people in the office. Let's be, if you're an agent and you're in there, keep your distance from the employees, from other agents. Let's be respectful of each other, but let's keep communicating with people. We really need to do that. You guys are doing a great job. I am completely amazed at the amount of business that continues to go through the pipe here. We've not cut anybody's hours. We've not cut any employees. Our goal is not to through this whole process. And if you go back to 2008, we did not cut one person's job back then. And so that would be our goal here. I can tell you there's many of our counterparts across the country. That's not the case. Many of them have started cutting back employees and hours and so forth. Our prayer through this is that we can get through this safely, first and foremost, but economically, that we can keep everybody moving forward. I will tell you, working and trying to manage employees all working from home is actually more work. It's not fun and it's not as productive, but I think everyone on our team has done an unbelievable job of continuing to communicate and do what they need to do. So I'm proud of everybody on the staff, the management team, and thank you, agents, for all of you help through and support through this also. So guys, let's go out there. Let's have a great week. Heather and our next mastermind group will be jumping on here in about 5 minutes. So Scott, Carrie, Missy, Maggie, and Gina, thank you all for helping putting this together and the information that you relate to us. Guys, have a great day. Gina, we'll get this out to you with notes. And I think it is recorded. Yesterday's was not recorded, so we had a number of mistakes yesterday, but we are moving forward and learning as we go through this. So guys, thank you very much. Take care. Have a great day.